It's very rare that I find a TV that is as subpar as the Sony X90K. Now, if you end up buying this TV because you're a Sony fan, maybe you were really looking at this model or you don't have very many other options in maybe your country or area, I can't really speak to that. I can only speak about the experience I'm personally having with this, so take everything I say with a grain of salt if you have to. I will say this though, I have seen the market for full array local dimming televisions, and this is nothing new. This is not its best. This isn't even an improvement, really. I mean, you still have all the same disgusting blooming that we've seen. You still have the same level of peak brightness that Sony gives at this price point. I mean, it's nothing that breaks the mold. I mean, they really aren't going back to what made them fantastic. And they like to slap XR processor on the box each year, but I'm not impressed by upscaling. I can confirm that this is a VA panel. If we look at the subpixel structure, great. I mean, but that also does affect off-angle viewing. Nobody is expecting anything different, of course, but I did expect there to be more than this. And when I say more than this, I mean like the blooming on this TV really is a disappointment for me. And then you combine that in with the calibration issues that I've been mentioning throughout this process so far of the dials just being reversed. I ended up finding it with about 2 other dials that it had the reverse color temperature, so I don't know if that's a bug unique to my panel or what, but this is the television that Sony made, so it's something I'm going to talk about. Now, I didn't find, again, the peak brightness to be anything worth bragging about. It's nothing to be excited about. You can easily find better with televisions that are a lot cheaper, like the Hisense U8G. So, I mean, I can only imagine when the what is it, the U8H comes out, that will be even more advantageous for you. And I understand that people like to say, oh, I don't want to buy a Chinese brand. I mean, don't buy it if you don't want it. I mean, I'm not here to promote any products. I'm just telling you your options. What I can say, though, is that Hisense is going to give you a better picture than the Sony is. Because, I mean, it's so rare that I find a television that sings, but it's also like one of those things, like the moment I see a TV I don't like and I know for a fact has almost no potential, I will just immediately end the review process like I'm doing here. Because this TV is at so much of a loss, in my opinion, as far as picture quality, that I just honestly don't find a point in continuing to talk about it. There's no point in doing comparisons to older TVs like the Sony X900E or anything else, because I know for a fact, based off of what I'm seeing here, it won't last the first 5 seconds. Once anyone sees that, they'll click off the video and they're done. The thing is, this isn't hatred for Sony, and I understand that, like, every year I come out and I make these videos and I talk about Sony and their decline, it might seem or maybe even feel like I'm just against Sony, period, but that's just not true. The reality is Sony is just not bringing their best. I mean, this TV somehow manages to give you black crush if you try to fix the gray-black levels. And if you don't want to fix the gray-black levels, then you're met with gray-black levels on full array local dimming. They're clipping of highlights, overexposure on pretty much anything. It's that should be bright. It's just the TV is poorly balanced for them to so-called be a cognitive processor. And again, and low-lit scenes like this, like in this whole Spider-Man scene where they were fighting, you know, I could see blooming and haloing and things like that. And it's to a point where it's like, yeah, that's not going to be worth it in 2022. Maybe you could have passed in 2016, but in 2022, you need to come harder than a 2016 level of picture quality. And that's honest. Now, this TV does have 17 milliseconds of input lag, which in my opinion is low now. Again, you can pick up an LG C1 for $1,100, 55-inch, same size as this. So at this point, the C1 is actually cheaper. You can get a better TV, the LG OLED C1, for less money. I mean, for right now, as we're looking at the market options right now, as I'm reviewing this in we're in April, May actually of 2022. Okay, I just don't understand how Sony can still think that they have any leg to stand on in the current market that we're in. I mean, the U8G is even cheaper. You get a 65-inch, less money than this TV right now. I need you to understand that, like, this review is based off of your options, and it's based off of the picture quality that Sony is providing comparatively to those options. And me knowing, having reviewed all of those TVs, you can go ahead and check the review playlist for each of them to know that Sony is not showing up. And if you're a fan of Sony or any other brand, I know immediately that it would be very upsetting to hear somebody essentially what feels like, I would imagine, trash your favorite brand. You'd be like, wow, this guy's just crapping on my favorite brand. Like, whatever, screw this guy. But really, it's not about being a downer. It's not about being negative for the sake of being negative. This is something that an honest person is going to tell you, right? I'm not a retail sales associate. I don't make commission off of these TVs I review, right? I'm not an influencer. I'm not an affiliate marketer, right? I have no conflict of interest in you buying this product. You don't need to buy anything from any affiliate links. You don't need to do anything. I'm simply performing a service for the sole purpose of letting you know whether it's a good TV or not. And it's not like it's the worst TV I've ever seen, okay? But it's pretty damn bad for today. And I need you to understand, we're comparing today's technology. We're not talking about like, well, it's a good TV coming from something from 10 years old. Because let's be real, almost anything you could buy coming from a 10-year-old TV will be an upgrade. I think that's it's something that should at the very least be understood. I'm not looking at this TV like that. And most of this video is ending up turning into like an apology for the no doubt Sony fanboys that will ignore this entire part and run straight to saying it's negative. The speakers are horrible in this television, so you will need a soundbar. I don't like how flush the stand is to the surface. It doesn't really give you room for a soundbar, and because there's no pedestal, you can't just put a soundbar, so that part sucks. Now, if there's a way to raise the stand, I haven't figured that out, okay? But from what I've been experiencing, it's just flush to the table, and there's no room to put a soundbar underneath. That means you're going to need to invest in a robust audio system, or you're going to need to figure out something else as far as where you're going to put that soundbar. That immediately makes it so pointless to so many households with smaller bedrooms, and you know what I mean? Like, it's just stupid. And I'm looking at the Sony, right, even now, and I'm watching all of this play out, and I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, how in the world could Sony produce this television in 2022 and not make a noticeable upgrade, knowing the market, knowing LG exists? Well, the truth is they don't really care about you at this price point. They want you to pay that Sony tax that I talked about in my last upload. And the thing is, Sony is priding themselves off of being this expensive so-called premium brand, but this television and all of their televisions are made out of recycled plastics, and that lowers the costs for them. It's all about lowering costs and giving you, essentially at the end of the day, low-tier goods, because compared to what's on the market, this is a low-tier good now. This TV shouldn't be more than $600. That's all this TV is really worth. And I mean, you can test this out by comparing this against TVs that would cost $600. Like the TCL Mini LED would destroy this TV with no mercy. The TCL S546 destroys this TV. And it's not just in one aspect, and that's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand. Now, I don't understand. Sony, again, is late to getting a lot of the features that a lot of manufacturers get, and everybody kind of knows that. And people apologize for Sony for being late. They're a lot like Nintendo when it comes to the gaming consoles, right? How they're late to upgrade their graphics. Well, Sony is ultra late to upgrade their technology and get on par with what all the other manufacturers are offering. I just don't see a point in buying an outdated picture quality in an outdated television from a company that just can't seem to figure out how to stay relevant in this market, from my opinion anyway. I just, you're going to need to do more than give me smeary motion, judder choppiness, 17 milliseconds of input lag, and, a TV that has horrible speakers, but you also can't really put a soundbar on it. It all feels like they're just pushing you closer and closer to their more expensive models, and it doesn't feel like there's a good reason to do so. So my point for making this video is very simply to tell you, do not buy the Sony X90K unless you want to overpay and waste your money. This is not worth that kind of money. Now, there will be people, absolutely, from walks of life that buy it anyway and say, screw this guy, he's a clown, I don't like him. Do what you want, okay? But if you actually look at your options, there is no way anyone can look at an LG C1 and then look at this for more money. Right now, it's $13.99 to pick up this 55-inch Sony X90K. Okay, same 55-inch LG C1 will run you $1,100. How on God's green earth are we even having a conversation about which route you should go is beyond me, but do what you want. Some people will like the brightness and expense of the blooming, but even still, the lower input lag, as I've been saying, like all of it, it just adds up to a worse experience, and I haven't seen anything redeeming. I've been trying to make settings for this TV to take it beyond reference, and I've done that, and it looks better than it did out of the box, but it doesn't meet my standards, right? Nothing about this TV screams high-end or screams like, I've got to have it. And when that's the case, I think we can all call this TV what it really is. It's just kind of like the X90J 2.0. It's nothing impressive, and I highly recommend you find something else.